We all know anime, it's a great thing. Over-the-top, amazingly choreographed fights with characters that ooze raw emotion, actions, and dialogues that can make someone rethink their actions in show and sometimes in real life. It's always been a very influential media since the day it began. Its end might be upon us soon. Not really, but it's starting to go down a few paths that are, in my opinion, killing more than you might think. Throughout the years, there have been many changes to anime as a whole, be it the community growing into a massive amount, way more than it used to be. Like back when I would get bullied for drawing manga in class and they found the book that I left in my desk. They went through my desk and made fun of me for doing it. They showed it in front of the whole math class. Also, the massive amount of anime that just comes out in a single season, the pure quantity is very insane. But three new things that have been popping up more and more have been killing certain parts of anime that I feel most aren't seeing. These three things are hype during a season, in-depth seasons giving us small details that were apparent in the manga and maybe even in the light novel if it has one, and originality. Now, I know what a lot of you might be saying. Originality? What do you mean? There's tons of new anime that are coming out. What are you talking about? We have things like Oshinoko and JJK and something else I'm not thinking of. There's so much hype in these shows and they go into great details during small fights, and some of the relationship struggles are very real and impactful. What are you talking about? Well, lend me your ear and stop yapping for a second, you fool. The first thing is the splitting of seasons. You know, when an anime season is like, oh hey, here's part 1 of a season and we're gonna cut it off at around the 12th or 13th episode mark, and then you're gonna get season 2 part 2. I have no idea when or why this all started to become a norm when it comes to anime seasons, but I feel like it can make or break an anime, truly strangleholding an anime as a whole. Like, I can understand if you don't have the rest of the stuff you're animated, but 99% of the time, it feels like they do. I could be completely wrong. Maybe they do have that stuff animated, and maybe it's something regarding the voice actors not being done, or maybe they really don't have it all animated, but at that point, why not just stop and wait until everything's done? And obviously I understand that money talks, and also that the Japanese work structure is a very strict thing, but something like ReZero season 2 I feel really suffered from this. Everyone was loving part 1 of the season, but then they split the season, and then it just felt like it lost a lot of the community hype. Also, like I said, the whole season 2 part 2 title, it just looks really messy and unpleasant to read. Like, I have talked to friends who have told me that they have just completely dropped anime because they see part 2 and they're just like, I don't know, part 2, it's just not the next season. I'll just wait till there's season 3, then I'll watch part 2. It's like, it's a pretty effective killer. Then the other thing that has been really bothering me is in regards to when I say losing in-depth seasons, making movies that cover a season. I love anime movies, don't get me wrong, canon or non-canon. They're fun to watch with that extra budget put into it because it's a movie, you know? I feel like the bar's been raised so high by Demon Slayer and things like JJK and Chainsaw Man that other anime are in a state of needing to raise to that next level or above. Maybe that's why some of this is happening. Seasons getting turned into movies just because the season can't be as grand as like one of those shows seasons, so they're like, all right, let's turn it into a movie so we can be at that level. Chainsaw Man season 2, which would cover the Raise arc of the manga, which is relatively short, so on one hand I get it. You give us a movie, we watch it, we enjoy, so the next season can be all about the next arc right off the bat. And maybe this wasn't the best example, but it still lets me get my point across that anime companies are taking this path. Instead of seasonal seasons, which say it's a longer arc of something, you'll be losing details for sure that would have been covered in a normal season. If it's too long, they might just end up splitting it into another movie, which you'll have to wait a long time for the next one to come out because it's a movie and they take a lot longer to make than a season. And also, in the end, they just end up cutting the movie down and turning it into a season and calling it good. So we get everything we've already seen from the movie into a season and having to wait longer till the next movie. And all of this connects to the hype getting killed for an anime, because a movie getting split because it only has a limited runtime feels even worse, where a season can give you so much more even if that season gets split. We're missing out on so many details because, like I said, the runtime can't accommodate things like the small details like a season can. It's just one big messy circle, not even a circle, it's I don't know what to call it. I'm gonna be honest. No one's gonna want to watch it. I don't really have a great way of transitioning into the next thing, so originality. Something else that I've been seeing recently is remakes. As many of you might know, Wit Studio are working on a remake of One Piece. They released some of the screenshots of how it will look and some of the characters, which did spark some controversy, but also they mentioned it's going to be more akin to the manga, with some more graphic and violent scenes, which obviously, you know, that's cool to hear, and we'll just have to wait and see how it really is. But as much as that is cool and could be really great, it also is throwing out the idea to many more companies that just remaking an anime is the way to go, instead of making something new and original like Talk to OP Destiny, or looking into adapting some very underrated or maybe long overdue manga that would do great as an anime. And it is this idea that really makes me worried about the future of anime and what will get made or adapted. It doesn't stop at One Piece. It isn't the only anime that's getting a remake. Akira, the absolute iconic GOAT anime movie that we all know for the memes or just overall great story and soundtrack, just, everybody knows it. A new adaptation following the 32 volumes of the manga, getting closer to the original story, which obviously, like I said, one of the examples where we're not losing out on details. Same thing with the One Piece one, but it's somewhat like a double-edged sword. With these well-known names, obviously it's going to generate hype and they're going to be looked upon very favorably. And great for the studios who are animating them and getting people to enjoy their work, but that also means we could be getting remakes of anime that might have had a okay, fine, or, maybe even a great adaptation, but one studio might just want to do something that is already done so they don't have to think too much or stress about turning stagnant images into full animation because they already have something that they can look at how somebody else did it, and they're just like, all right, well, I'll just do that and somewhat copy it, but obviously do maybe a bit more different angle just in my own style. And that's not really the greatest path to go, in my opinion. I just don't really want to see anime fall into this stagnant loop. Like a few years ago, you remember how it was just isekai, isekai, isekai? Well, I don't really want to see the timeline where it's remake, remake, remake. That does not sound like a fun timeline to me. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I could go a lot more in depth about it, but I think I would just end up just saying the same thing over and over and over again, just worded differently. But that's just really how I've been feeling about it. Let me know what you guys think about it genuinely, because it's just such a very weird thing. I don't want to see it go down that path. One or two remakes here and there isn't awful. One or two season getting turned into a movie getting a season isn't bad, but I really don't want to see things just fall into a stagnant loop that ends up just getting boring and kind of killing the anime community for what everyone knows and loves it for: the original stories, the details of some of the characters and worlds and action. It's just something that I love dearly, so obviously I get worried about it. As always, thank you for watching. My socials and everything will be down in the description below. Like, comment, subscribe, make big channel number get the bigger, leave the comments so we get put into the algorithm so YouTube doesn't send me directly to hell. And, just genuinely let me know what you think about this topic, because I want to know how many others have also been noticing this pattern or seeing this potential future maybe come to light. It is something that I am very interested to know more about. And remember, shuhari.